Hello children, I am Ekta. Children, have you ever noticed how some things in our daily lives are exactly the same? Think about two identical book covers or two matching socks. These items are congruent because they have the same shape and size. In geometry, we use the word congruent to describe figures that can fit perfectly on top of each other. For example, if you draw two triangles that look exactly alike, you can place one triangle over the other, and they will cover each other completely. This means they are congruent triangles. Just like your favorite toys that come in pairs, congruent shapes share spatial relationship. In this video, we will explore what it means for triangles to be congruent. We will learn how to tell if two triangles are the same by looking at their sides and angles. So, let's dive in and discover the exciting world of congruence together. Learning outcomes. After the completion of this lesson, you will be able to understand what congruent shapes are and how they relate to each other. Identify congruent triangles by comparing their sides and angles. Use the symbol to show congruence between figures. Learn the difference between congruent and similar shapes with examples. Keywords from this lesson are congruent, triangles, shapes, sides, angles, identical, similar, comparison, figures, vertices. Children, do you know what is the congruence? In geometry, congruent means identical in shape and size. Congruence can be applied to line segments, angles, and figures. Any two line segments are said to be congruent if they are equal in length. Two angles are said to be congruent if they are of equal measure. Two triangles are said to be congruent if their corresponding sides and angles are equal. Let us learn more about congruence and congruent figures in this video. Congruent meaning in geometry. The word congruent means exactly equal in terms of shape and size. Even when we turn, flip, or rotate the shapes, they remain equal. For example, draw two circles of the same radius, then cut them out and place them on one another. We will notice that they will superimpose each other. That is, they will be placed completely over each other. This shows that the two circles are congruent. The following circles are said to be congruent since they have an equal radius and they can be placed exactly over one another. The symbol that is used to show the congruence of figures is congruent. Since circle A is congruent to circle B, we can express this fact as follows. Circle A is congruent to circle B. Congruent figures. The congruence of any two figures can be seen if they can be placed exactly over each other. The word congruence is used to express the relationships of two figures that are said to be congruent. In other words, if any two geometrical figures can be superimposed on each other, they are termed as congruent figures. This property applies to all figures like triangles, quadrilaterals, and so on. Apart from figures, line segments and angles are also termed as congruent if they are of equal measure. Observe the following figure to understand what congruent figures mean. Symbol of congruence. Now, let us see congruence of two-dimensional shapes. In the case of 2D shapes, the two shapes will be congruent if they have the same shape and size. You cannot bend, stretch, or twist the image. Congruence among line segments. To check whether the line segments are congruent or not, we can superpose one line segment over another, and if they completely cover each other, then they must be congruent. Two line segments are congruent if they have equal length, and if two line segments have equal length, then they must be congruent. Congruence of angles. Two angles of the same measurement are congruent, and if two angles are congruent, then their measurement must be the same. Here, angle R is congruent to angle Q. Congruent and similar figures. There is a difference between congruent and similar figures. Congruent figures have the same corresponding side lengths and the corresponding angles are of equal measure. However, similar figures may have the same shape, but their size may not be the same. For example, observe the following triangles which show the difference between congruent and similar figures. In the congruent figures, we can see that all the corresponding sides and angles are of equal measure. However, if we notice the similar figures, we see that the corresponding angles are of equal measure, but the sides are not of equal length. Children, now let us see congruence of triangle. If we superpose one triangle over other triangle and they cover each other properly, then they must be congruent triangles. In case of congruent triangles, all the sides of one triangle must be equal to the corresponding sides of another triangle. All the angles of one triangle must be equal to the corresponding angles of one other triangle. All the vertices of one triangle must be corresponding to the vertices of another triangle. In the above triangles, if triangle ABC is congruent to triangle FDE, then corresponding vertices are angle A is equal to angle F, angle B is equal to angle D, and angle C is equal to angle E. Corresponding angles are angle A is equal to angle F, angle B is equal to angle D, and angle C is equal to angle E. Corresponding sides are AB is equal to FD, BC is equal to DE, and AC is equal to FE. Points to remember. Congruent shapes are exactly the same in shape and size, even when flipped or rotated. Two triangles are congruent if their corresponding sides and angles match perfectly. Use the symbol to show that two figures are congruent. Congruent figures can be placed on top of each other without any gaps. Congruent figures are different from similar figures which have the same shape but different sizes. Thanks for watching.